How to understand intellectual conception. Abdu'l-Baha explained that outward forms and symbols must be used to convey intellectual conception. Knowledge is said to be of two kinds. One is the knowledge of things perceptible to the senses, that is to say, the things which the eye or ear or taste or smell or feelings can perceive, which are called objective or sensible. The sun is sensible because it can be seen. Sound is sensible because we can hear it. Perfumes is sensible because it can be inhaled and the sense of smell perceive them. Food are sensible because the palate can perceive its sweetness, sourness, and saltiness. Heat and cold are sensible because the feelings perceive them. These are what they call objective or sensible realities. The other kind of knowledge is intellectual. That is to say, it's the intellect. It's a reality of the intellect, and it has no outward forms and symbols. For instance, the power of the intellect is not sensible. On the contrary, it's an intellectual reality. Love is a mental reality, and for these realities, the eye does not see, the ear does not hear, the smell does not discern, the taste does not perceive, and the touch does not feel. In the same way, the human spirit is an intellectual reality. But in order for us to understand intellectual realities, one is obliged to use outward forms and symbols. For instance, when we feel with sadness and sorrow, we would say our heart is oppressed, enlarged, and broken. Although our heart is not physically oppressed, enlarged, and broken into pieces, but we use these outward forms and symbols to explain intellectual realities. Abdu'l-Baha explained that in man, 5 outward powers exist. They are the agents of perception. They are sight that perceives physical things, hearing that perceives sound, taste that perceives food, smell that perceives odor, and feelings that perceives the tangible things. We also have 5 inward powers, which are imaginations that imagine the object, the power of thought that reflect on the reality, the power of comprehension that comprehend the reality, and the power of memory that retain what was imagined, thought, and comprehended, and the power that acts between the outer powers and the inner powers, that connects the outer powers to the inner powers, and it is termed the common faculties. For instance, sight is one of the outer powers that see an object, transport it to the common faculties that convey to the power of imagination. And after imagination, imagine the object, then confer it to the power of thought that reflect on the reality, and after thought, grasp the reality of the object, then convey it to the power of comprehension, and after comprehension, comprehend the reality, then transfer it to the power of memory that keeps it in its repositories, what was imagined, thought, and comprehended. So there it is, we have 5 outer powers and 5 inner powers. The outer powers are the power of sight, hearing, taste, smell, and feelings. The 5 inner powers are the power of imagination, the power of thought, the power of comprehension, the power of memory, and the common faculties. According to Abdu'l-Baha, all living things signifies composition, and their death, decomposition. But universal elements or atoms do not become absolutely annihilated and destroyed. No, their non-existence is simply transformation. For instance, when man's physical body is annihilated, it becomes dust. It does not become absolutely non-existent. It still exists in the shape of dust, but transformation has taken place. So this composition is accidentally decomposed. The annihilations of all other beings is the same. For existence does not become absolute non-existence, and absolute non-existence does not become existence. Fundamentally, all existing things pass through the same degree and phases of development. The cellular elements or atoms that enter the combination of human organism were one time part of the mineral kingdoms. In that kingdoms, it went through the myriads of changes in evolution of that kingdoms, that these atoms eventually become part of the nutrients of the soil. And the roots of the trees and plants absorb these nutrients to its kingdoms, and these atoms are now transferred to the vegetable kingdom. And the animal consume the fruits of these trees and plants, and these atoms are now transferred to the vegetable kingdom, to the animal kingdoms. And we humans consume the meat of the animals, as well as the fruits of these trees and plants, and these atoms are now transferred to the human kingdom. And when we die, our physical body begins the process of decomposition, and these atoms are now transferred back to the mineral kingdoms. And this cycle of transferring of the atoms is continuously in a perfect regularity and in a perfect order. It's clear from these explanations that the universal elements or atoms do not become absolutely annihilated and destroyed. No, their non-existence is simply transformation from one kingdom to another. These are very new teachings revealed by Baha'u'llah, never before brought to humanity in the past, beautifully and clearly explained by Abdu'l-Baha. Baha'u'llah revealed vast volumes of writings, and these writings are meant for everybody, regardless of your status or your beliefs. Hence our encouragement to you to read the writings of Baha'u'llah, freely available in the internet. Baha'u'llah ordained these writings. It has the power and potency to influence your soul, though you may not at first realize it. I conclude with these words from a renowned Russian poet and philosopher named Count Leo Tolstoy, who wrote, We busy ourselves trying to find the answers for all these world's problems. But there is a Turkish prisoner in Akka, Baha'u'llah is his name, who had the key. And he also wrote regarding Baha'u'llah's writings. He said, Baha'u'llah's writings is so profound. And I know no other so profound than his. Thank you, and I wish you well. Whaftai lava, manuela whaafongfong mai mla whaasausaunga Samoa. Soifua.